How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to my channel. It's Brandon here, and today we're going to be talking about my estimated budget to build my 1,800 square foot dream house. So this is actually going to be my third video revolving around the new house that I'm building. And in this video, I specifically want to talk about the budget that I have put together for this current project. So I just want to put this out there before I get started that some of these numbers are actual estimates that I've gotten from different companies and contractors. And while other numbers are actually just pure guesses of mine, since I really couldn't find an accurate number anywhere, and it's really just kind of based on my knowledge of the industry. So I decided to take an educated guess. One more thing I want to put out there real quick is that I live in Virginia, specifically in Virginia Beach, and here where I live, the average price to build a new home is between $150 to $170 per square foot, and my goal is to do it for cheaper. So let's go ahead and get into these estimates, and let's see down the road if I was able to do it for cheaper. So the very first estimate that I have is $5,000 for my site plans and my surveys. With that being said, the city required me to have a site plan done of my property before I started the demolition work, and that cost around $800. And the city also required me to have a site plan put together of the new house I want to get built on the property lines. So that was the second site plan I had to get done, and that was also very expensive. And then on top of that, the city requires you to have a topographical survey to be able to measure the elevation on the property and to, whether see if your property is extremely flat or if it's got a bunch of bumps in it. And with that being said, the total came out to be $5,000, and I've actually already paid that. So this is not a guess. The second estimate is building plans. So you do have to get building plans drawn together for any house you want to have built, and mine came out to be around $1,000. So I went through an architect that I actually know, and we spent a couple of weeks of editing this design, and I ended up going with the design that was a little more of an open concept through the entire house, and I really put a lot of effort into the main bedroom and the main master bathroom just to kind of make it a little more conforming to my life. The demolition of the old house that was there and tree removal from the entire property came out to be $11,500. So this is something that has already been completed, and I actually showed you guys on my second video I posted on the house updates. And with that being said, there was probably about 10 very, very large trees on my property, and I did not want them there anymore. And the house that was there was around 750 square foot. So the best price I got was $11,500, and that came with them demolishing everything, including the little garage that I had, or the little shed I had in the back, and they also smoothed out the entire property. So next off is my biggest estimate I have so far, and that's pretty much building the shell of the house. So I'm paying $110,000 to have the foundation poured, the framing done, the siding put on, windows put in, a roof placed on there, and trim around the property. So $110,000 sounds like a whole lot of money, but I actually got a few different bids, and the highest bid I had was up to $170,000 just to do this. My permit budget is going to be around $3,000. Now this is a number that I completely guessed on. So I've looked all over my city websites, and I couldn't really find a defined answer for how much permits are going to cost. So I went ahead and looked through other websites and found what other people ended up paying, and I ended up drawing up this number for $3,000 based on my limited Google research. So with that being said, it could be $10,000, it could be $1,000. I'm not really too sure because apparently it's different for every single property, but I'm gonna cross my fingers that it's lower than $3,000, but if it ends up being more, I'm actually prepared for that, and that's okay. Wiring the house and all the electric work is very, very important to this build. And with that being said, I did not want to cheap out or go with one of these companies I didn't know for this project. So with that being said, I got an estimate from a company that I've worked with a lot, and it came out to be $10,000. Now that $10,000 included wiring the entire house, placing around 25 recessed lights on the property, as well as doing a temporary power pole to be used during the build. And I know this price was a little higher than other places. However, I know that they do really good quality work. And if something is wrong in the next 5 years, they also offer a warranty. So it just kind of also helps me sleep at night knowing that if something's wrong, they'll fix it for free. Next off, we have my plumbing estimate. So this is actually my second biggest estimate, coming in at $12,000. So I ended up choosing my actual plumber that does the plumbing work for every single property that I have, due to me knowing that he's reliable and that he does great work. And that $12,000 estimate includes using the best quality pipes, whether it's PEX or PVC, which will determine when we're actually building the house. We'll be using the best quality stuff we can put in there and not just, low grade construction stuff that new house builders put in their houses. I've also worked in a $6,000 estimate for plumbing fixtures like toilets and tubs and showers and vanities. With that being said, I know this estimate is very high at $6,000. I really expect to spend around $3,000 to $4,000 on plumbing fixtures, but I wanted to keep that number up there just in case I decided to go with, more higher end things. So the HVAC is my very next estimate, coming in at also $12,000. Now, this includes two different HVAC units, one for upstairs and one for downstairs, which I personally prefer. Say, if one year one unit goes out, we still have another unit in the house, so the house isn't completely cold or completely hot. Also, I like having the two different zones. So upstairs, since heat does rise, so I would love for upstairs and downstairs to be the exact same temperature, and this does help secure that. Now, I know this is definitely more expensive than going the general route. However, since this is gonna be a house that I'm living in, I don't wanna spare an expense for this. Alrighty, next off, we have the drywall, the trim, and the paint coming in around $10,000. Now, this is something that I actually did not get an estimate on. This is me just using my knowledge of the industry to kind of take this guess. So I actually do plan on hanging all the drywall myself and doing all the painting myself, but I do want to hire somebody that I know to do all of the texturizing and everything for the walls, since I'm not skilled enough to do that. Insulation is the very next estimate I'm factoring in at around $3,000 to insulate the entire house. Now, this is also something that I kind of just took a guess at, knowing the prices of insulation and knowing the square footage of my house. However, this could change depending on the quality of the insulation. I haven't quite decided what exactly I want to go with, which brand. So I will determine that more in the future, but I think $3,000 is just a solid number to leave for that. The flooring estimate is coming in a little under $7,000. So if you've seen one of my other videos, you all would know that I really, really love the LifeProof brand that Home Depot sells. And more specifically, I love the Dusk Cherry that they sell. Now, Dusk Cherry by LifeProof goes for around $3 and I want to say 25 cents a square foot. I think it's $3.25. It could be a little more. With that being said, and my house being around 1,800 square foot, I estimate that cost will actually come down to like $6,200. However, I do want to factor in that extra little cushion just in case something happens and I need to do something else. The cabinets and vanities are next off, and it's actually something that I'm going to splurge on just a little bit. I do want to have custom built cabinets for myself because it's just something I really like. And the builder that's actually building the exterior of the house also builds custom cabinets. So I'm actually able to get a pretty good deal on these cabinets. So the rough estimate that we have is around $10,000 for this. Of course, it can change if I change up my mind on the layout of the kitchen, but at the moment we're sticking around $10,000 for the vanities and the cabinets. All right, next off are the countertops, of course, because they go with the cabinets. My estimate is probably between $50 to $65 a square foot on countertops, and I actually want to go with a quartz that replicates a marble with a bunch of veins in it. With that being said, my estimate for this is around $4,000, and that is to cover all the countertops in the kitchen, including the island and the vanities. Alrighty, so appliances are next on the list, and honestly, I think I went a little overboard on the budget. My budget for it is $11,000, which I think is way too over. Realistically, I think I'm gonna spend around $8,000 on appliances, and that also includes the washer and dryer and all the kitchen appliances. The backyard is next. Now, the backyard is completely torn up at the moment. It is just a pile of dirt. So my budget for the backyard is gonna be around $5,500. This also factors in me installing a fence. I haven't decided if I want the traditional wooden fence or if I want to do like a white vinyl fence to accompany the house. I'm still deciding on that. It really depends on the price, but I think a $5,500 budget gives me enough wiggle room to do one or the other really well. All right, so the driveway is next. I'm still really indecisive on whether I want to do concrete or bricks for the driveway. Of course, it depends on the price, and ultimately, I really don't know what would look better in my opinion. If I did bricks, it would be like that white and gray color brick that would go with the vinyl siding on the house. Or if I did the concrete, of course, it'd be the traditional like gray looking concrete. My budget for it is $4,000, which I think is pretty safe, stating that the driveway will probably be about a 3-car driveway. So I haven't really decided what I want to go with yet, but I think a $4,000 number is safe for the meantime. If it goes over, it's okay, because the very next budget item we have is going to be a miscellaneous $10,000 estimate. So of course, I know things like the driveway or things like the permits may go a little over budget. That's why I factored in this cushion just in case. So having this $10,000 miscellaneous budget also includes stuff like doors and door handles and door hinges and just little random things that I can't even think about right now, but I'm gonna need to spend money on in the future. Blinds, just little random things. Alrighty, so that is every single estimate that I have for you guys. And if you add them all up, we come out to $235,000. That is from start to finish, from demoing the old house to building the new house, to furnishing it, to installing floors and cabinets and countertops and appliances and all that good stuff. $235,000, which also works out to be around $126 a square foot. So currently we are under the $150 a square foot normal that people pay in my city. So let's stay at that number or below it is going to be my goal. And the really cool thing is that, you know, we're going to check back in once this build is done and really go over every single penny that I spent. And I really hope that it's less than 235 grand and not more. But we'll find out here in the future. If you guys did like this video and liked my estimates of how much this new build process is going to cost me, please go ahead and thumbs up the video. And if you haven't yet, please subscribe, and I will see you all in the next video. Thanks, guys.